Hey guys, Hardcore here. So, after the whole thing with the Stellar Blade, like a week ago, I think, or a few days ago, there been another stuff going on with Sony and Helldivers, which is another game that's been, ever since it came out as a good game and it skyrocketed with player base and all that. But not too long ago, like maybe 3 or 4 days ago, May the 3rd, I think,
Yes.
um, stuff came out, and we're gonna talk about it today. And of course, joining me here, Kaiser and Sigma behind me. I don't know what they're doing. Say hi, guys.
We're
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 floating.
we're we're floating.
We're
But
We're
enjoying the
props.
water. We're enjoying the summer
wait, you look
because
like
Don't
it's
you're
way
cancel
too
running
us,
damn
there.
hot
please.
outside.
Don't
But
cancel us, please.
but but anyway, we're talking about it, and we found this whole thing ridiculous and the way how it's going on. But
It is blown up.
yeah,
So we have a lot from X or
yep,
Twitter,
or Twitter if you
what
want to
used to
call
be
it.
Twitter,
Here, let me show you
of
the.
just different
It's so ridiculous.
things posted by people. A lot of them from similar people. You'll see.
What
Okay.
does it say?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So in this one, it's talking about how this was May 2nd, so before May 3rd, but it was going into May 3rd at
Mm-hmm.
this late hour. At least for because this was Pacific time, so for us on the Eastern, this was way past.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Let's see.
But this is just going into the start of it, of how they came out with the game, and months later, now we have to connect our PSN accounts. Even though before it was just an option, now we have to. And same thing
Oh.
of just where countries are not, some countries won't be permitted. Um, and these are some of the countries we'll see later on more of this, but you can see here like the Republic of Congo, Egypt, which I guess had a pretty big player base for the game. Um, a lot of people. This is a cancel. This is pretty much being brought out because of Stellar Blade. The problems from Stellar Blade were leaking to Sony, now forcing it, and just a boycott of Sony's censorship, and then Sony pushing for this, which was going to kill a lot of players in the Helldivers player base. Some people uh, promoting it, which I'm not saying it's a bad thing, all right, for the most part. There are issues with it, but the major one was how they sold a game to a lot of people. Now they have to take that game away from people because the PSN account making is not available in those countries. It's over 60 plus countries. And Sony also changing from May 3rd their statement where you have to making a PSN account is optional on PC, to it is a requirement to play any game on PC. But there are a few caveats. Um, and this kind of continues with a few other people. Grums
That
made a
is
lot of tweets
that is
about this.
illegal, right? Like they shouldn't have been doing this.
Well,
Well, it's not particularly like an illegal issue.
pirate.
It's more like it's almost like if you're doing a business, it's almost like a breach of contract because you're making a change afterwards
The
that was outside of people's awareness or
mm-hmm,
ability to basically acknowledge it. So in this case, it was,
the
even though it was originally on the store page, but normally what it was supposed to do when you log in, just like any other game like EA or Rockstar, it would say in order for you to play this game, you have to register or like make an account. You have to link your account right when you start the game. But
right.
because when the game originally came out, it never gave people those prompts. So when they bought the game, they never even looked at the store page to say that it was a PS that you required a PSN account but they made it optional. And they didn't even
Yeah.
tell players when you logged into the game that, hey, this game at some point needs a PSN account or you need to link an account. It never gave those
Yeah.
those prompts.
It asked you to make a PSN account, but it had a skip.
Hmm.
Now, this skip came about because the game just exploded. After the first week, they cut the PSN, and so the game just went out of control. Everybody's buying it, everybody's playing and loving it because they finally got the servers under control.
Yep.
This one. And this is one of the things of people getting really upset over so many people saying, "Oh, I don't want to make a PSN account for this game. Why are you guys boycotting it? This doesn't make sense." And here's one of just from Mudahar, a pretty big person, saying, "I believe the perfect compromise would be to just to limit PSN account connections to crossplay. If you don't set up a PSN account, you play on the Steam network. Have the goal be for everybody, but have crossplay be only if you have a PSN account." This was a good compromise in the early on of somebody thinking of how can we keep the player base as is, but still make a or a semi mandatory PSN account. Yeah, see right here. So this is what a lot of people, myself, Sigma, my nephew Cap, um, all saw was when you start up, it has this, and it has a skip button right here to skip the whole PSN account setup process. This was here from almost the beginning, about a week after, maybe, from what I've been able to find. But since I didn't start first week, I can't say for 100%. But this skip button has been here since I started playing. And that's the thing. People had this button, and while it was on the store page that you had to have a PSN account, one, you had the skip button. Two, even in, like we saw in these past ones, this was an optional thing. It was not a requirement, it was optional. It wasn't until after they were making the statement for Helldivers did it become a requirement. So, yeah, so then we get into uh like here it's saying PSN was listed but not required when the game launched. So this person's now saying it wasn't. Like I said, I wasn't there from the very beginning, but from when I started, the skip button was there. Sony is forcing people to sign up for an account for a platform they have nothing to do with or lose access to a game they bought. And not all countries even have the PSN. Here it's talking about from May 6th, if you make a new account, if you're a new player to the game, you have to sign up. If you're a current player, you've had the game for a long time, you have until June 4th. This is bad because Sony has a history of data breaches with the PSN. This is another point of contention with Sony themselves doing this. And this is not just a Sony thing. I understand that a lot of companies have had data breaches. But here's Sony's. We have 3 of them from 2011, April, May, and June. All of them were data breaches or hacks. Then it goes 3 years later in 2014, another hack. 2017, another hack. And just recently in 2023, there were 2 hacks to the PSN network. Now, again, this isn't just going to be a bubble of this only happens to Sony. I'm sure a lot of other companies have had this happen to them. But here's one I don't know if a lot of other companies had to deal with, where their own homeland government, so Sony is in Japan, the Japanese government pretty much shut down PlayStation Network because of a data breach. And this whole thing was down for 70 days. That's over 2 months that the PSN network was down because the government wasn't happy with Sony's response to everything.
I remember the hack that was in 2012. It was wild.
Yeah,
Well,
the anonymous
Yeah.
anonymous breach,
Yeah.
the DDoS
well, that
attack.
one wasn't on here, but yeah, there's probably more that we're not seeing. And, you know, this person talking about the
Was it,
until you
right after the
look
whole
at
thing?
this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So back to what we were at. So this is what we're looking at. And I mean, I pulled this one up. It's just I found this. I gotta chuckle out of it. But just, guy has PSN, owns the PlayStation 5, but leave the PC alone, especially when you have so many people playing the game in a place where you don't normally sell games to. And then people were finally able to start getting refunds for the game. This person played for over 97 hours.
I hear it's fake.
Just
it's
2
not.
minutes over.
Yeah.
Well, no, some people are able to, and some people are not. And that is because, if we can find it, I know it's mixed in here, but, the reviews tanked. But this was also because of the fact that they took the game out of so many countries. You can't even buy the game anymore.
Yeah, it's out of 173 countries at the moment.
Here's review bombs of how much the reviews have just tanked. And this one was pretty good, of just a community that is centered around completing a quest or some kind of mission, and they coordinated 100 plus or 100,000 plus negative reviews is wild.
Yeah, I can't think about any game and pretty much in recent history in video gaming where a game was rated that high. Now this isn't just like any game for Sony. This was potential game of the year. And the only other game that I can think of that's been released so far that even has contention with Stellar Blade, and with all this stuff surrounding that, and then with this game, this is
There's probably more, but yeah.
Oh yeah, this is number one selling game on PlayStation 5 to date.
This was
and
the number
this is
one over almost anything.
Anything.
This was
anything.
beating out everything.
Yeah, and this has only been out for 3 or 4 months. And
Here's
this is outselling God of War and all those games. This is the selling game on PlayStation.
Here's the CEO talking about how the reviews have been tanking. And the guy has posted before about how he just wants to make a good game. That's all he wants. And build Warhammer, which is something that became kind of a meme with everybody. Legal Mindset, one of the legal content creators out there, talking about posting negative reviews to get your point across to big companies. Someone talking about how gambling addicts, and then this one was just kind of here, but it still, I think, holds kind of a similar thing. The game has since
didn't the developer say he's kind of to blame with all the stuff that is happening?
Yep, that's also in the list of everything. But yeah, he did. Oh gosh. And then we have the community managers get into that, talking about him.
Oh boy.
The community managers are, from what people were saying, they were Reddit mods for Helldivers 1 that they then made Discord mods and managers for Helldivers 2. And the backlash that these people have been getting because of what they said. No, it allows us to ban people. That's the sole reason for this kind of thing. Of just, you don't want to make it, well, you're going to get banned. And even more so of casual hardcore these people, a lot of them don't seem to have the kind of social interaction you would hope a community manager or promoter of the game to have and be the voice of the dev team rather than the voice of the publishing company who doesn't care about the player base. If they did, they'd be releasing multiple games that they've been sitting on to everywhere else if they really want to push games onto PC and everywhere. But now they may not do that because, well, PC players don't want to make PSN accounts. I wonder why. It became one of the biggest that people were going after because of what they were saying to people. They told one person, "Oh, I thought you left because you don't want to pay for, you didn't want the game. Just leave. We don't want you here." And
Yeah, he
then
was like, "I
turning
thought you were
around,
refunding and leaving." Yeah, that dude was
yeah,
a menace online. I'm
and then
not even gonna lie.
yeah, and then turning around to say, "Well, I didn't realize how many companies couldn't make a PSN account." Really? You didn't think. You didn't wonder why so many people were getting frustrated over this and not do your due diligence or even ask the dev team. The CEO has said he knows. And yeah, this this gift just sums it all up right here of how they talk to people and probably getting the talking that they need. Pirate talking about how this guy, this
I just pulled this directly from their Discord.
oh, but I thought you were refunding and leaving. That's one of his tweets from Spitz.
So instead
Yeah,
of fixing the issue, they're like, well, who cares?
There's
Just pull
a
that game
saying.
from them.
It's like there's a saying, pouring gasoline on the fire. But the community managers, they were dropping thermonuclear bombs
Yeah,
on a
all except
wildfire.
one from what I've been able to find. All
Yeah,
except one. Spitz even turns around and says internal discussions going. He's talking about how the dev team is universally negative and we're looking for better options to fixing this. The only one, yeah, him trying to turn it around, but also just being, the person that everybody dislikes. And,
yeah. I haven't seen a rogue community manager as bad as this. Since
and here's
the
another one
Saints
of
Row
him turning
remake.
around again. Like, he's turned around 3 times, but he had so many against him. Yeah, he let the negativity get under his skin and gave a few people an attitude. That's on him. And this
Well,
is
that's
where
a
I think,
self-inflicted wound right there.
yeah, this is nice when he's turning around to try and, I'm sorry,
It's
but
either that or because he's trying to save his job.
he probably got a talking to,
Oh
like
yeah,
they
I'm
said.
sure.
But this one, Twin Beard, was the only one I could find from him. Now, I'm sure that there's more that I couldn't find, but he just says, first of all, the decision is Sony's, not theirs. He's saying, we are trying to do our best job to fixing this issue. He's the only one that's trying to be out here to put out the damn fires that everyone else is starting. To just say, look, we're doing our best. We're still outside of anywhere we need to be. Yeah, there's so many to get through.
Yep.
This person, the dev team is so great, and it's not fair. Yes, the dev team gave us a game that is so amazing, and it's not fair that so many people have had this game yanked away from.
Yeah, it's like 7 years worth of work, wasn't it?
Yeah,
7 years in development.
8, something
8.
like that.
I mean,
Yeah,
if they want
7
to
to
fix
8.
this issue, like, if people want the developers to fix this issue, or Sony or whoever, they have
It's gonna
to
be
do
on
this.
Sony unless the
They
developers can
Like, they have
get
to
away.
boycott the game, or like the developer said, you have to put negative reviews to make them see how this is not a good thing to do. It's not a good move on them.
And here's where we get to what transpired, I think, starting today. of Sony has just cut off 1/3 of the world from playing Helldivers 2. They took the game off of Steam. You can no longer buy it. And if you can't buy it and you can't log in without making a PSN account, or these people are on borrowed time. Because it said before, June 4th is the last day before you have to make that PSN account, from what they were saying. This
Well,
game has now received 215,000 negative reviews.
Here's the thing. It's not about, it takes you 2 minutes to create an account. It's about why. That hasn't been an issue for a while. Why is it an issue now? And even if we are able to do an account, so these people don't have PSN in their home country, so they have nothing to do with it. They can't do anything about it. So it's like money wasted.
Exactly. That's one part of it. It had a good player base, a good reputation. There were some toxic players. We all heard the stories of the people that would team kill or do other things, troll. The devs made a game that was great. Sony then comes in and wants to roll out an update that requires a PlayStation Network account to be connected.
That you have to put your actual ID to make an account, or your
there's some countries like the UK, parts of Scotland and stuff like that. You would have to upload a copy of your ID in an actual biometric scan. So meaning like your facial ID and fingerprints.
Yeah, some countries require a government ID to make one, like right here. The EU, LA never directly mentions the PSN account requirement. They changed their policies on the PSN account requirements for PC, and people run defense for Sony, downplaying the PC players seething and overreacting for reason and not wanting to make an account, which is not entirely true at all. It's who do they want to... It's pretty much whose bed do they want to sleep in at the end of the day. Do they want to sleep in a bed with Sony that they can't play with the people that they've been playing with, or do they want to move on to find something else better? That people have been making, or comparisons to other things. Like here, Tarkov was a huge thing until they decided to put in pay-to-win microtransactions that push their people away.
Yep,
and then Helldivers just stepping in, taking 120 seconds to make a PSN account, taking 120 seconds to request a refund. This one was just calling back to all of the old memes. Leave the multi-billion-dollar company alone.
That's just another thing to talk about. But basically, what we're saying is like some of these companies are like out of their minds when they do stuff like that. But it's just a sad situation, like altogether. And I hope they find. And personally, I haven't played Helldivers. I was thinking of buying it, but after this, I'm kind of iffy now because. And I'm going kind of slow.
Now finally the requirements to re-enable came from PlayStation to help with moderation. There's no air quotations, but I guarantee you there should be. And we had to comply, even though there were concerns there would be backlash. And there was backlash. He knew that this day was coming, and he was dreading it. Kill 2 billion bugs in 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Now we probably wouldn't even do it in 5 days. Yeah. And I said this before to Heart and Sigma, that if the devs decided they wanted to step away from Sony, they wanted to buy the rights to Helldivers, they wanted to get the servers that they have invested from Sony, or whoever they're renting them from that isn't Sony, but Sony is they're going through Sony to do it. If they ask the community, I feel that the community wholeheartedly would be doing what they could. Maybe not to the extent of 12 hours. In 12 hours, they did it. Because they would have to find a way to build back the trust. The trust that they had when they first brought this game. They got through the first month of hell with the servers. and showed us how good the game could be.
That's just sad, but we're gonna end it here. Let me know what you guys think in the comment. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Have fun.
Take care, everyone.
Laters.
Bye.